All right, got some more people jumping on board. If you did see that post that I made on there, I wanted you all to bring a question. Now, I know not everybody probably saw that, and I don't know if everybody's up for participating. But what I wanted to do is open this up for some questions. I want to have some good interaction, some feedback from everybody. What questions they might have, where things are going well for you, where you might be stuck. And I want to get to those questions here. I'm going to do a quick little training first, but I do want to get to those questions. So make sure if you have those or if you're thinking about them, you want to write those down, do so. But what I wanted to do today, and something that I do in between my power hours, is I'm always taking the pulse of the team and seeing where the team is at, what the questions that I'm hearing, and hearing some things over and again. And when I hear that, I'm very observant to that, and when I hear a couple things that are a pattern, then I want to address it. And so one of those is making sure that everybody's clear on a process. I want to make sure everybody's clear on the steps that we do in this organization. I want to make it as simple as literally step 1, step 2, step 3, that type of thing. And I want to talk this over today, and we've got quite a few things in the works to be able to get this actually documented. But I wanted to start tonight in talking about this at a high level, a couple of key items. And I want to make sure that you're organized, you're grounded, you know what you're supposed to be doing, you know how this fits into the overall picture. And so I want to spend a few minutes on that. This won't take long because our process is simple. But I do want to draw it out, and I want to draw it because if you can see it, that also helps. So let me share my screen. All right, Mr. Jones, if you can see my screen, give me a thumbs up. Awesome. Thanks, sir. All right. So we talk about all the time when you're doing anything new, whether it's a business, whether it's going on a trip, whatever it may be, there's 4 things that you got to have or you don't take action. You don't go on that trip. Okay, and we'll use it as in regards to this Kayani business that you're a part of. If you don't have 4 things, you're not going to do the action that's going to help you achieve your goals. Okay, so I want to break this down for you on what those things are so that you can see how all this goes. And the reason I want to draw this out is I want you to do a self-assessment as we're coming through. And I'm laying this out for you. I want you to look at this and not just, oh, that's cool in pretty little boxes. I want you to actually apply this to yourselves as an assessment and say, do I have a check mark in these boxes? So the first one is the why. Do you know why you're doing this? Do you know where you want to take this? What goal do you want to achieve? What destination do you want to reach? I use an analogy often on taking a trip, and the vast majority of us are in the Houston area, but we got folks, all around the world, literally, and the people that will watch this are all around the world as well. But we're in Houston, right in the middle of the United States on the south side, and if we want to go on vacation, a place to go is Miami. So that's the destination that we're going to go. If you are going if you grab the kids, you grab the family, you grab your suitcases, you pack everything up, you load up the car, and then you all pile into the car, and then you look at each other in the driveway going, okay, where do we want to go? That probably has never happened before. It's the weirdest thing. It's like so out of whack. You wouldn't go on vacation by packing everything and getting everything set up and getting the dog to the kennel and turning off the lights and making sure the milk's not in the refrigerator and all those things. You wouldn't do all that and then go out into the driveway and figure out where you're going. You start with the why. You start with where you want to go. So we need that. The next thing that you need, and it can't be superficial. It cannot be superficial. And what I mean by that is, for instance, saying money. Money is not the thing that moves anybody in this business. That's coming from the guy that desires to make $1 million a week in this business. That's not the thing. The money, the dollars aren't the thing. Even if you're a money-driven person, money's not the thing. Money is a means to the end. The end is what you want to get a hold of. The thing that drives you, what does the money get you? A lot of times it's that security. It's the feeling of security. Because what is security? It's a made-up concept in your head. It's a feeling that you have that I've got enough. I can provide. Either for myself, my family, others, everybody, whatever. But it's the feeling that you're looking for that you want to be able to have a hold of. I tell people when you're looking into this, it's like grabbing a hold of an extension cord. You can plug an extension cord into the wall right now, grab a hold of it, and nothing's going to happen. But what's going on inside is one of the most powerful things in the universe, and that's electricity. And if you grab a knife and you start shaving the side of that extension cord and you start getting a little closer, you'll fray it and you can grab a hold of that and it ain't going to hurt you yet, but you're getting a little closer to it. And then you see that little cardboard wrapping that goes around it. Now you grab a hold of that, you might bump something. If you keep going, you're going to hit the inside and you're going to hit that copper wire. And if that thing ain't plugged in, no big deal. But you plug that in, you grab a hold of that, you know you touch something. Your why needs to be that way. You need to slice that sucker until you get in there and you touch and go, whoa, okay, that's 110 volts and I don't need to touch that anymore. All right? You're aware of it. It's a big deal. That's your why. The next thing that you need is if you're going to Miami is that you're going to need a vehicle. How are you going to get there? A lot of people have a destination in mind, but the thing that keeps them from doing anything new and what keeps them stuck in their patterns and their ruts that they're in is that they don't have a vehicle that's going to be able to get them there, not one that they feel can make the trip. You have a vehicle, or you probably wouldn't be online with me right now. Maybe you would. We might have some guests on here taking a look at what we're doing or watching the replay. But Kyani is that vehicle. It's a vehicle. Is it the only vehicle? No. Is it one of the best vehicles I've ever seen in my entire existence on this planet to help you get to that why? Absolutely, without a doubt. I'm not going to dig into all of that tonight. That's for a different training. We do different ones all the time, but know that you need that. You need a vehicle. Now, once you have a vehicle, then you're going to need another thing, actually two things, before you're going to go on that trip, and that is resources. Think about what you pack just for a weekend trip. You ever think about what goes into just packing for a weekend trip? We're not talking like a lifetime move here. We're just talking, going down to Galveston or, 2 hours away and coming back. What do you pack? What's all the things that you have? You have a bunch of resources. There's two types of resources. There's internal and there's external. All right, the external ones are the easy one. Underwear. You're going to pack some underwear before you go on your trip. Some of you go, nah, it's cool, I'll figure it out. So however you roll, that's cool. Most of you are going to make sure you pack some underwear. You'll make sure you got some socks in there. Maybe you know what, this is a beach vacation. I ain't packing socks. I'm packing flip-flops and that's it. Whatever it is, you got some external resources that you're going to have there. You're going to need some money, or you're going to need to pack a sandwich. You're going to need a glass of water. You're going to need, some things. You're going to need a cell phone charger. You're going to need your charger. You're going to need your phone. You're going to need all these things. The other thing that you're going to need, and this is the one that we look over quite often because we're functioning adults in society for the most part, is the internal resources. Do I know how to drive the vehicle? I should actually change that and put vehicle. So I want to go to Miami. I've got Kyani to get me there. That's my car. Do I know how to drive? Do I have gas? Those are some examples of what you would need in those boxes. I need you to take stock in your experience to know, can you fill out what goes in those 4 boxes? What is your why? The deep one, the one where you touch the source. Do you have a vehicle? You all have Kyani. This one right here is what's missing for a lot of you, is that you don't feel that you know exactly how to drive. You all know how to drive a car. You don't know how to drive the Jade Factory dump truck. You don't know how to drive our vehicle. You got an idea, and that's why you stick around. And you see that others have driven it, and that's why you stick around. But you might not know exactly how to do it, or you might not feel that you got what it takes for your external resources to get there. Do you have the time to be able to do this? Do you have the energy to be able to do this? Do you have the support to be able to do this? Can you fit this in with everything else that you've got going on? That's that external resource of time. So do you have the internal resource on knowing how to drive it? What are the steps that we do? And do you have the external resources to be able to do this thing? So what I want to do is I want to take this one tonight and I want to break this down so that I give you the 5 steps that it takes to be able to do this. 2 of them are simple and gimmes. So before I give you what it takes to do this, let me tell you where most people fail in this type of vehicle. And I'm going to change this from Kyani and I'm going to make it more generic and I'm going to call it MLM. Why do most people fail and can't get the MLM car to get their butts to Miami? Does it just not work? That's not the case. You know there are people, you've seen them do it. Now, what happens when you see somebody achieve something that you haven't achieved? You start making excuses. You start saying things like they got lucky. And sometimes that's the case. They were in the right place at the right time. That's sometimes the case. But over the years, I've realized more and more that luck is just preparation meeting opportunity. It's funny that some people are always lucky. So what is it that causes most people to fail? There's 3 things. All right, these are the little landmines. You step on that little thing and they go boom. All right. So the first one that people step on, this one right here, is they want to be that guy. And I've actually got a book in my bookshelf that says, don't be that guy in network marketing. So let me go through all these and then I'll come back and explain what each of them are. Then there's the second landmine is when they want to, when a person wants to become Mr. Fix-It. That's the second landmine. And then the third landmine is they want to be the guy. And there's a difference between that guy and the guy. So let's explain what these are real fast. That guy is the guy that gets started in something. Have you ever met somebody that just got started in CrossFit? There's a good joke out there that people in CrossFit never shut the hell up about CrossFit. That's all there is. They won't stop talking about it. They keep talking about it, and you want to slap them. Or it's those people that have found the next new big thing and they won't shut up about it. Why does that annoy us so much? It annoys us because they're just talking about them. And you don't mind people talking about themselves as long as they give you a chance to talk about the important things in your life, namely you. You want to talk about your stuff too. Ever been in that conversation where the other person just never shuts up talking about them? All you are is an interruption into their story when you're trying to share your story. And they find every opportunity they can to interrupt you to tell them the more important thing, which was how their weekend went. That's being that guy. Don't be that guy in this business. And I'll show you how to do that here in just a second with our steps on how to do this step by step. Let me move on and explain the second. Once people figure out the first part, then they want to become Mr. Fix-It. So for this to make sense, let me explain that guy. An example of that is, hey, I need to tell you about this brand new business I just got started on and this product I've been taking that is absolutely blowing me away. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. And you start your conversation off with that. And when you do that, they're looking at you going, okay, cool. And if they're polite and they're nice to you, they say, well, tell me about it. You're like, oh, they're interested. No, they're not. They could care less about you. They're just trying to be polite. And you take full advantage of that and you throw up blueberries all over them and tell them about, it's like you start reciting everything you learned in the presentation. Well, there's these guys and they build potatoes and they're up in Idaho and then they've got these blueberries and there's Alaskan people that are doing stuff and there's fish and it's all natural. And then there's these trees and this special fruit and it's like a baseball and it's got nitrous oxide in it, makes your car go faster. And unbelievable, these guys are trillionaires and they've been in this thing for 47 years. It's just unbelievable. You need to take a look at it. I have literally seen people do just about that. It's humorous after you look at it, but it's pretty terrible when it's happening. That's being that guy. How do you fix that? You have a conversation, Okay. So there's 5 steps on how we go about doing this business. And I'm going to show you how these 5 steps counteract these 3 problems. So this is problem number 1. This is problem number 2. And this is problem number 3. And the way we fix that is we have 5 steps here on the internal resources on how do you drive this vehicle called Kyani or multi-level marketing. Is you fix the first problem by doing, there's 5 total steps. There's 3 of them here. Whoops, not quite sure how I did that, but that was cool. All right, so those are the problems, and this is the steps that we do to counteract it. The first thing that we do is we have a conversation, okay? So all of this lines up into a conversation. So instead of having a monologue where you're coming in and throwing up blueberries on them, you have a conversation. And a conversation is a give and a take in the conversation. It consists of asking questions and not just making statements. Let me say that again for your notes. A conversation is not just making statements. There's a back and forth that include questions. So if you ask questions, it gives the other person a chance to respond. And then the ball comes back to you and you can ask some more questions and the ball goes back to them and it goes back and forth. And there's a back and forth give and take, and there is an exchange that occurs, an exchange of information between 2 people. You're like, Casey, I know how a freaking conversation works. For some of you, I would disagree. Some of you are real good at giving what's called a soliloquy. Soliloquy. That's where you just out there giving it to them. Make sure it's a conversation, okay? So when you have a conversation, you're not just throwing up on them, you're actually asking questions, finding out about them. You do that to see if there's anything going on in their world that our little vehicle might help them with. The Kyani vehicle. Is there anything that we have in Kyani that can help them? And so you're probing, you're asking questions to find out what's going on. Now, the key to this is when you're doing this, it's your intent. Is there an intent to help this person, or is there an intent to be able to sell them something right now? This is where the art form comes in. This is where the people will get in this business that, well, I did everything you said and they're just not interested. No, you tried it 6 times. You didn't know what you were doing. You were doing it trying to sell them, and you weren't doing it by having a conversation. There's some art form to it. There's some nuance to it. These are the big steps, but there's nuance to it. Okay, so conversation. Then after you find out that they've got something that they've got a problem with, and this can be, and I want to be crystal clear here because this is a lot of confusion. Some people think, well, there's a different system if they're looking to be able to have a health benefit, or there's a different solution if they're looking for money. No, it's the same thing, because this is us looking for problems, not looking for a specific problem. We're just looking to see, do they have anything going on that we might be able to help them with? Key statement that I just made there. Stop trying to fit this into one or the other. Look at it as another human being that's got an issue, and you might be able to help them with the issue. If you do it and you look at it that way, that makes all the other steps easier. Now, when you hear somebody that's got a problem, here's the second landmine that you step on is you want to become Mr. Fix-It. Oh, well, you've got a problem. You're not sleeping well. Let me interrupt you because I've got something that's going to take care of that. What does that tell the person in the conversation that you're talking to? That means that your stuff is more important to them than them. Your stuff is more important to you than they are to you. And you lose connection. You've had this happen before. Ladies, I bet you've had a significant other. You come home, you've had a rough day. You start sharing how everything went wrong and how this conversation with your boss did not go well. And what does your significant other do? 4 seconds into hearing the conversation, they interrupt you and say, baby, I don't need to hear you blabber on all damn night. Let me tell you exactly what you need to do to fix that. Raise your hand if that's ever happened. There's a special hotline number that you can call. No, I'm just kidding. You know how frustrating that is when you've experienced that. And for anybody that's ever done that to somebody else, your intent wasn't, maybe it was, I don't know, but probably wasn't to cause them pain. You just wanted to fix, and you're tired of hearing all the whining, and you just want to fix it. Let me make this problem go away. That's not how human interaction works, okay? Well, it should be. Well, as Jim Rohn says, when you get your own planet, you can set the rules how you want. But on this one, this little blue orb we're spinning on, things work a little different. And this particular batch of human beings would like to be heard and understood first. So you need to hear them and understand. And it's not enough for you to hear them and understand. It's that you have to let them know that you heard and understood them. Well, I don't know why she's mad. I know what she's going through. Did you tell her that? Well, no. Well, there's the issue. Somebody asked me the other day, is this for guys and girls? Yes, it's for both. Okay, guys are the same way. Guys act like they're all logical. No, nobody's ever made a logical decision in their life. Every single one of them has been emotional. You act like it's logical. That's just you trying to justify it. When you made the decision, it was emotional. I guarantee it. Okay, so everybody wants to be heard and understood. Now, once that's happened, then if you get these two parts figured out, you can make some pretty darn good money in this type of business. You can impact some people's lives. You really can. But if you want to get into crazy impact, we're talking things that's got commas in them, whether that be checks or lives impacted. If you want to hit that level, then don't step on landmine number 3, which is becoming the guy. This is the one that I tell you from a macro view. This is the one where long-term frustration kicks in if you become the guy. And here's what I mean by that. You being the one that has all the information. You being the one that's got to sit there and understand everything about how the triangle of health works. Here's why you want to know that. Because you feel that up here on your resources, that to be successful, to know how to drive the car, you got to know how everything works in the car. Newsflash for most of you, some of you might actually know how a combustion engine works all the way down to the atomic and chemistry level. You've got a certain level of understanding, and that certain level of understanding gives you enough confidence that you can operate a car. But I bet you don't know how the code was written that causes the car to actually turn on or make the radio work or turn the turn signal on, or how it figures out miles per gallon or any of those things down to the level of the mechanic and the engineer that created all those little parts. You don't need to know any of that to be able to operate a vehicle and drive it to get you from point A to point B. For some reason, and I think I've got a good idea why, and I'll share it with you, is that when you get into this business, you feel you got to know everything there is to know about it. What that is right now, if you've got a job, you've got a particular set of skills that you're good at. And you know everything about those particular sets of skills, and that's where your value and how you're able to help people today comes from. If you know everything about writing a blog, you know everything about writing a blog. Now, at some point you didn't, and we seem to forget that part. We go back to, well, if I was successful at what I do today, it's because I sat there and studied it for probably more than about 90 minutes. And here you are with this business thinking, I need to sit here and in 90 minutes I can be successful. And that's where people's fallacy comes in. And that's why they're not successful in this business, because they think they got to know all these things so that they can become the guy. You're that way because you're programmed to be that way. You sat for hours on end learning your ABCs, your 1, 2, 3s, your addition tables, your multiplication tables. learning all that stuff on the periodic chart, learning this, learning that. It was all about learning information. That was back in the information age, is when whoever knew the most information, you were actually going to get somewhere. Somewhere that knew all that stuff, they thought that that was what it was all about. Why? Because you got better paying jobs and you didn't have to sit in a factory turning alternators on engines, and you got paid more by knowing a specific set of skills to do something special. And so you sat there and you learned all that and you got good at that. Whatever that may be, whatever that trade profession that you've got, it was doing that. Heart surgeons, guess what? They know their thing. They know their stuff. It's interesting. Most of the doctors in Kiani struggle on duplicating in this business. They can get a lot of people in, but they don't duplicate. And the reason for that is they feel that they've got to be the person that knows all the stuff. They'll literally sit there and argue with me and tell me, I got to know all this stuff. Who's on the magazine cover, Doc? Well, you are. Okay? If I got a heart problem, I'm going to go to you. You need to know all that stuff. But in this business, that's not the case. That's not how it works. It's not that you need to know all that stuff. It's better, in fact, that you don't know all that stuff. Well, Casey, why is that? Let me explain a very important point to you. It's about duplication. How much do you make on a triangle of health? You sell somebody a product. How much you make on that? 15, 25 bucks. Great. They're going to pay you that once a month. Are you retiring on that? No. What does that mean? That means you need a lot of customers. How do you get customers? You going to go out there and talk to every single one of them? No. You're going to go out and you're going to have an organization that's going to continue on without you, and they're going to do certain parts. And it's about going through a large amount of people, finding specific ones in there that have something that we can help them with, and then getting them the answers as quickly as possible so that you can move on. That is different than how you were brought up and how you do things currently, most likely. Like 99% of you. If you want this business to take off, this is everything. Absolutely everything. Because you don't make enough money in this unless the duplication happens. Now, let me be clear on what I mean when I say you don't make enough money on that. You don't impact as many people. And when you impact them, the money shows up. Or if you're money driven, then it's the money first and then the impact. I don't care how you're wired. I'm just letting you know that from the business perspective and the impact perspective, and those are one and the same to me, it's about duplication. Otherwise, go sell houses or go sell cars, because there's a whole lot more margin in it. But that's not what we do, because when you sell cars and you sell houses, you got to be the guy out there selling. Therefore, you got to be the guy that knows everything about it, because you're the front line of it and you're doing that specific thing. That is not what we do here. We are in advertising. We are in a very special form of advertising that is relationship marketing, word of mouth advertising. And if you try to go in here and apply your old model on what you're used to doing to this, guess what? You're going to step on one of these landmines and this ain't going to work. Like I said, you get 1 and 2 figured out, you can make some money, you can make some impact. But if you want to make the big ones, if you want to get truly to Miami, then you need to know how to drive this vehicle. It's like, well, Casey, I've driven a car this way all my life. That's cool. We're flying airplanes here. And while some of that stuff is going to cross over, this ain't doing the same thing. This is doing something different. So these steps, 5 simple steps, are here to be able to help you achieve and not step on these 3 landmines and be successful in all the parts that make this business so freaking sweet. Is it perfect? As Eric Worre says, it's not perfect. It's just better than anything else that's out there. When you get a taste of it, it's one of the coolest things ever. So let's talk about these main steps, and then we're going to get to your questions. The first step that I recommend that you do in this, and these steps can be handled in multiple different ways, but I'm going to give you the steps as the theory, and I'm going to give you a tool that you could use to get into the specifics. And this is one way of executing these steps. There's multiple ways to do it. Step one is you're going to wave at somebody. An easy way to do that, and we've been doing this a couple times, is on your phone, on Messenger. You can click on there, see who's active, and you look at 10 people and you click the little wave button and you do the Forrest Gump wave. The same thing that you would do if you ran into somebody at the grocery store. You start the conversation. The second thing that you do in a grocery store, if you see somebody that you know, you wave at them. What do? They wave back. Cool. Then what do you do? And sometimes you just duck down the aisle and you keep on going. But most of the time you go over there and what do? You say hi. Then after that, what do? You get into asking them how they've been. How have you been? And that's usually followed up by, how's the family? How's the wife? How's the kids? How's the husband? How's the aunt? How's the uncle? How's your mom? How's your dad? How's your brother? How's your sister? How's your uncle? How's your aunt? How's your grandma? How's your grandma? All those things, those fall into the category of family. When you get done with that, you say, how's the job? You still working at XYZ? You liking it there? Weren't you getting a new job? Didn't you lose your job? What's going on with your job? Do you still like your job? These are all things talking about their occupation. After that, what do? Hey, it's summertime. You going anywhere for summer? You taking any trips? You going on a cruise? You going down to Mexico? You going up to Canada? You going to Europe? You going to Asia? What you doing? That's recreation. The next one that you sometimes talk to, hey, weren't you on a softball team? Don't you like going to karate class? Don't you get to fly model airplanes? Don't you do special Jenga classes? Aren't you in some dance studio thing? Aren't you? What are all those things that are their motivation? Things that they like to do. We ask them about those things. When you ask people about those things, guess what? One of those is probably going to trigger on something where it talks about what type of day they're having or what's going on in their life, and they're going to share that with you. That's how you start a conversation. And you keep doing this step until you get their trigger. We call it their trigger. What's their thing? The little bell gets rung, the little flag goes up. We got a lot of different things for that, but it's the thing that's an emotion. And the thing, the trigger, guess what that is? It's their why. We're looking for their why, so this goes down to the next generation. When we find that why, the big picture is we want to see if they want to fix it, and we want to see if they'd like to use Kyani as the vehicle to fix that. And then if we can show them that they possess the resources to be successful in this business, what happens? They join you as either a customer or a business partner. And the cycle continues. And then they come in here, we show them how to do these steps. They say hi, they have a conversation with their people, and this thing continues on. And then all of a sudden we find somebody's why. And then we see if they want to fix it with Kyani. And then we show them how to do the steps, the internal resources and the external resources. And then we do those things, and guess what? We wave at somebody and we have another conversation. And the next thing you know, you're 14 levels deep and you got an organization that starts blowing up. How did that happen? It came back because you started with this step right here. But here's what I'm telling you is a lot of you aren't taking your vehicle out for a spin because you don't know how to drive. Or you don't feel you've got resources. That's the only thing that keeps you from going. If you'll get it started, you'll see how this thing can blow up. The next thing that you think of is on the external resources. You think that you've got a limited list and you don't know enough people that want to do this. And what that is you're focusing on 4 steps too far. You're over here at the wave step and you're deciding how you're going to be able to leave, what you're going to say, what if they talk about this, and you're confused and you're freaking out and you're thinking so far ahead. And why is that? Because you're in your head and you're trying to get it right because you don't want to mess up the business, and you're not in your heart having a conversation with another human being. Same reason that you don't have your video on for the ones that don't have video on. unless it's broken and all the other things, because you're worried about you. You're not worried about, well, my little simple having my video on isn't going to make any difference in anybody else's life. And it's that form of thinking that keeps you from taking action, because you're using your head and you ain't focusing on your heart. If that stings a little bit, I'm okay with it. If you guys will simply wave at somebody, say hi to them, and have a conversation for the sake of having a conversation, to ask another human being how they're doing, it will change your life, and it will change their life. And then it's going to go change this person's life. And then it's going to change that person's life. And it's going to change that. And it's going to keep on going. And that butterfly effect of something so stupid is going into Messenger and hitting that little hand button and waving like Forrest Gump will get the whole thing started. Now, here's what I need you guys to do is trust me. I need you to trust me that this is all you have to do. These 5 steps is all you got to do. You don't have to worry about any of the other steps. We got you covered. Just do these 5 steps. If you'll do these 5 steps, you will start something in motion that you will be absolutely blown away of what it can turn into in 30 days. Well, Casey, how many of these do I need to do? I need you to wave to 10 people a day. It is the easiest thing to do. Well, if I do that, that's when this comes up and you start freaking out about that. So here's what I want you to do is I want you to reach out to those 10 people every day and wave. And then after that, I want you to say, hi, how are you doing? After that, I want you to ask and have a conversation like you're at the grocery store with them. When they tell you the thing, I want you to empathize with them. I want you to say, man, I'm sorry to hear that you're dealing with that. That sucks. How long have you been dealing with that? Are you doing anything to take care of that? Those are 2 very good questions to show that you heard them and to get them to get a little bit more out to you. And that's how you connect to somebody. That's how you don't become Mr. Fix-It. And then after that, you want some help with that. If they do, you're going to pass the ball. Okay? So I can go on for another 20 minutes talking about those steps, but I'm not. I wanted to talk about this. I wanted you to see this big picture, and I wanted you to see how these parts go together. I want you to know that this is the blueprint. This is all you do. There is nothing else that you have to do. We do the rest. Get good at this. Stop thinking that you got to know everything there is to know about this, because that's what you've been doing. What you've been doing has gotten you to where you're at now. And that's a good spot for a lot of y'all. Y'all done good. There's others of you of what you've done so far is not where you want to be. For all of you, you got something that's not exactly where you want it to be, or you wouldn't be on here right now. So I know you're in and you've got a why. It's in there. You might need to shave it off a little bit, touch a hold of it, and remember why you're doing it. But if you will do these steps, I will get you to a place that you haven't been before. That's what we're here for. You keep doing it how you're doing it. That's the definition of insanity. We talk about other people doing that all the time. I want you to do a self-assessment on, do you get these steps? If you don't, here's what I want you to do. I need you to reach out to me directly on Messenger, and I need you to tell me how you're doing on these. In fact, what I'd really appreciate, before everybody starts dropping off, because now I'm starting to give homework assignments and I'm going to start watching people drop off like flies. But before you go, if you're up for it, I'd love for you to say, hey, I've got these 4 steps figured out on top. I got my why. I understand Coyote is an amazing vehicle. I understand I've got my internal resources. I've got my external resources. Or I want you to say, I don't know what the hell you're talking about on these internal and external resources. I don't know why you think Coyote is so damn good. I don't have a why. Those are all valid responses. Let me know. Give me where you're at. Send that to me. Send that as a private message straight to me. If you want to share it on Power Hour, you can. You want to share it on Coyote Local, you can. You want to share it on the Jade Factory Facebook group, you can. I want you to tell me on those 5 steps. Do you know how to do those 5 steps for how to drive your car? If you do, let me know. If you don't, let me know. All right. Questions. Who's got questions?
I have a question,
Yes,
more of
Michelle.
a clarification.
Yep.
David Jones was talking the other night about the steps, and I got all of them, and then he got to one, and I thought, maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. When we go to pass, okay, so if we pass them to you, do you send them videos? Like what I normally do is I'll tag them in the post in the product video, and then if they're interested, then they'll reach back out to me. So am I doing that right, or should we be passing them to you and then you do that?
Very good question. And I'm going to tell you a clear thing. Let me be crystal clear on this. If you're brand new and you don't know what the hell's going on, you pass them to me or you pass them to your shooter. If you don't know who your shooter is, you got to let me know that too. There's a break in the communication and I'm here to fix it. I am always your final lifeline. If you don't know what the hell's going on, something's not right, you got to reach out to me. I got a lot of people on the team, but I do not want anybody to think that I am too busy that I cannot talk to my team. I think you will be very surprised and happily surprised that I will get to you. It might not be in the first 6 minutes. It might take a little bit. I will get to you. If I don't get to you, everybody write this down. Casey loves me. Casey's not pissed off at me. Casey's not upset. Stop with any story in your head on why I didn't get back to you. I'll tell you why I didn't get back to you. I got overwhelmed, or I'm human and I forgot. If I'm pissed at you, I will tell you. I have no problem doing that. Okay? So unless I told you I'm pissed at you, assume that I am not. Reach out to me. Reach out to me, okay? So, Michelle, back to your specific question. That passing the ball step, I gave you the answer for the generic person, just got started, doesn't know what's going on. You pass it to me or you pass it to your shooter. That's if they got a question about the business, they got a question about the product, they got a question about anything, you pass the ball to a shooter. Now, the official step is you pass the ball to the proof. The reason you pass it to me or one of my shooters is because we are the proof. There will get a point where you will have some influence. You will have some information that you can give them that's empirical proof. So, Michelle, to answer your question, the full-blown answer is it depends. The key is that they need proof. They need information. They're looking for that. They need to know if Kyani is the thing that's going to help them. When they start asking questions, we've touched on, hey, do you want to fix your back pain? That's their why. They're like, hell yeah, they move to the second point. Can this help my back pain? Question mark. Is this vehicle going to do it for me? How fast does this vehicle go? How much does this truck tow? I've got a trailer. I don't know if it can tow it. Let me ask some questions. The best thing you can do is let me put you on with one of my rock stars. They can answer all those questions about towing capacity. Or you can say, let me send you to a video that Dodge put out about the towing capacity of this truck. Or let me send you this article that does that. Or let me put you on with a group of people that talked about the amazing things that this truck has done for them and give you a 70,000 different testimonies. The key to all of that is you pointed to something. You weren't the guy. So it depends. All right. So hopefully I didn't confuse any new people. Well, I thought you said I need to pass it to this person. Yes, you do. Until you don't need to, and you know a place that you can send them to get them what they need. It just needs to be somebody other than you. Michelle, does that answer your question? Michelle,
sorry, I'm
nope, no problem. It did? Okay. Any follow-up questions on what I just said?
So do we send them a link? Can we send them a link, or do we pass it to you and then you send a link?
For the brand new person that just got started, send them to me and I'm going to send them a link once I get done with them.
Perfect.
Yep. Now, if you're comfortable and they're asking questions about the product and you know how to operate wellness from the inside out, and you know all those, how that all functions because you've been around the campfire enough times, you go ahead and handle that. If they don't want to talk to me, that's going to happen. Not if you can, I can't believe it, but there are people on this planet that don't want to talk to me. It happens. It's crazy. All right. I don't care. I'm good with it. Guess what? If they can handle it themselves, cool. But it's built so that you don't have to do that. But if you know how and you can point them there, just point them there. Because you're the one with the trust. They want to see the proof. And sometimes they want proof, not by what I'm going to talk about or what I'm going to send it to them. All right. Very good question. Next question. What we got right?
I had a question.
Yes, sir. What you got?
So what happens if after I send the pass to you and that person doesn't respond? Is it my responsibility to reach out to that person I've connected, or do I rely on the shooter or yourself to reach back out to them?
Very, very good question. So let me frame up what Mr. Jones just said again in the little picture I've been showing. So here we are, step one, step 2, step 3. We waved at them. They waved back. We said hi. They said hi back. We talked to them, asked them how they're doing. Their back hurts. We say, man, I know how that feels. So we finished up. We found their thing. Their back hurts. We get into step 4. Step 4 is asking them, hey, man, how long you been dealing with that? And I've been dealing with back pain for 5 years. You've been doing anything for that? Go to the chiropractor all the time. You want to keep doing that? Not really. Do you have something for me? I sure do. We finish step 4. You say, I got a guy. Cool. Can you introduce him to? Absolutely. Great guy. Let me put this in touch. And then, Mr. Salvi, I want to introduce you to Joe. Joe's got back pain. Joe's got some questions. Joe, this is Mr. Salvi. He's on the cover of 2 magazines. He's done this. He's done that. He's awesome. He knows the answer to everything. Joe, this is Casey. Casey, this is Joe. And then crickets. I jump on. I say, hi, Joe. How you doing? Nice to meet you. Crickets. I come back a little bit later. I said, Joe, you still there? Crickets. Whose job is it to be able to catch up with him? It is your job. So that was the question. Here's the answer. It's your job to follow up with him because you're the one that started the conversation. You're the one that knows what's going on in their lives. I just happen to be the PDF file that's going to give them some information. That's all I am. You have the relationship. I just have information. They have no tie to me. They don't know who I am. They don't care how many magazine covers I'm on. They don't care what I know. They know you. And so it's up to you to be able to keep the relationship going and ask those questions. Great question, sir. Other questions? Everybody know what their homework is?
I have another question. The follow-up question to that is, I get that I'm responsible for having that interaction get back together.
Uh-huh.
What are some examples that you would send out back to that person? Would you send it out back on that 3-way, or would you send it back to them independently?
I would do it independently, but this is where there's not a right or wrong answer. It's what works. And you're going to know what's going to work best for you and your person. If you need to call them out, they need a little kick in the butt, and they need to be not embarrassed, but called out in front of somebody to get them to do something, do that. If they don't like that at all, then you need to have that one-on-one with them. Go back to your one-on-one conversation, call them up, meet them for lunch, whatever you got to do, and say, hey, man, what happened on that? Don't put in there, hey, did such and such happen? Don't do that. Don't lead the witness. Ask them a question. Hey, man, everything okay? Well, yeah, why? I was just checking. You had said that you wanted to talk to Mr. Salji. You said yes to that. I introduced you. Oh, shit, I never even saw that. I'm sorry. I'm not really up on, I don't do the whole social media thing. There's a bazillion different reasons on why they didn't do it. Or maybe they got busy. Or maybe they don't want to talk to me. All those things can happen. You got to find that out. I don't really care how you go and how you go about doing it. But the recommendation out of the gate, I would say, is reach out to them personally and say, hey, you mentioned that you got XYZ. That's an issue. You mentioned to me that you wanted to fix that. Did you get that fixed? Or is that still a problem? A lot of times what's going to happen is people won't even get to the part. Go back to my picture and show you how human psychology works. So here we are having a conversation. We found their trigger, their problem. why they're interested in something. And before they can even get the information, they've coupled this and this together in their head. And they think that this vehicle and the fact that they don't know how to drive it is an instantaneous reason why they need to go ahead and destroy this idea out of their life. And there's no way it's going to be able to help them fix XYZ problem. That happens so often. Nobody says no to what we do. They say no to what they think they have to do when they say yes. And because of that, they say no before they even looked at it. Now, before you get on your high horse and say those people are so stupid, I want you to examine your own life. And probably in the last 72 hours, you said no to something before you actually knew what it was all about. Huh. All right, so think about that. Think about that. And when you think about that, here's how you apply that. Have a real conversation back to them in the follow-up that Mr. Jones would do. Here's what I do on that. It's like, hey, man, I can have a superficial conversation with you that doesn't mean anything and just give you the out that you got busy, which is a bullshit answer, or you got, overwhelmed with work, which is a BS answer to, or whatever nonsense you just made up, which is a mask and a front for the true reason, which is you got something in your head. And I'm going to be a true bro for you, and I'm going to be a true friend for you, and I'm going to snap you out of the nonsense that's going on in your life, and your little terrorist has a hold of you, keeping you down the same path that is not serving you. And I'm not going to worry about how this makes me feel. I'm going to do this for you and point this out for you, that if you keep doing the same stuff that you're doing right now, thinking that you know everything there is to know about something because this sounded like something you've seen before. And if you keep going down that path, I guarantee you in 5 years from now, you're going to be in the same or worse spot than you are now. I'm not saying that to beat you up. I'm saying that because you got a piece of spinach stuck in your teeth and I'm a friend and I'm trying to get that piece of spinach off your teeth. Now, some of you don't want to ever tell your friend that they got a little piece of spinach right there because you're afraid that you might hurt their feelings or they might think less of you. And because of that, you don't call out the spinach on their teeth. That's effectively the same thing going on here when they say my dog ate my homework and I couldn't get there because I'm too busy, and you let that go. And that's not serving you, and it sure as heck isn't serving your friend. So I'm calling you out and I'm asking you to step up. As Mr. Jones says, I'm calling you up to stop doing that, to get in it. This is some of that nuance that I was talking about, but it's still having a conversation. It's having a real conversation. All right. Who's got another question? These are awesome questions.
Mr. Algie, I have one.
Yes, sir.
Miss Eddie. Yes, let's say back during the peak, when I go to peak someone, and when they say that identify that they have something that's ailing them, and I ask them, do they want to fix it? And one of the first questions come out of their mouth is it MLM?
Yep.
Me being as a new person, what is my response to that as a new person?
Your response is, uh-oh, what happened? You've got a story. Have you done MLM before? What happened? You have a conversation. The thing is, the first thing that most people say isn't really the thing. Why are you doing that? Anytime I ask somebody their why, it's either going to be money. It's going to be one of the 4 boxes, right? Health, wealth, time, or money. It's going to be one of those in that vein. That's the category that it's in. And then I dig. And when I finish with them, that's never the thing. There's something else there. The first thing that comes out of them is a pain point, and they say, this isn't MLM, is it? Oh, man, what happened? You got a story? Was a car wreck? Yeah. Somebody lose their house? Was it your parents? Somebody you know? What happened? Come on, give me the juicy details. Tell me all the spaghetti. What happened? How bad was it? And you do that, they will go on for 10 minutes and they'll tell you everything. It'd be like a really good soap opera. And when it's all said and done, they get all that nasty out. Then you can come back and say, hey, so let me give you an analogy. And this is for the new people, right? All you've done is you said, oh, you got a story. Tell me what it was. That's all you did. They ran with it. When that's done, here's what you ask them to continue the conversation, to make it a deep conversation. And here's a really good analogy you can use. Say, hey, man, I know how that feels. You feel empathy. You let them know you heard them. You let them know that that sucks. Sorry you had to deal with that, man. That's terrible. Can't believe the company did that. I can't believe your upline did that. I can't believe whatever it is you just said. I can't believe that happened. That's terrible. It sucks. Now, let me ask you a question real quick, though, before we wrap this up. Have you ever dated somebody before? You're going to slap across the face. They're going, well, what? I don't know where we're going with this. And so now their conscious is plugged in. They're going to actually be present with the conversation instead of giving you a knee-jerk reaction. Because all that pain and stuff, that was because you stepped on a trigger that caused a little explosion in their head, and now they got to live in their past. And that you'll see how they talk. They're not even present with you. They're reliving pain from before. And so when you do this, it snaps all that out and it clears the slate and erases the board. And now you got something new. And they're like, I don't know what to do with this. And you go, hey, man, you ever dated somebody that was batshit crazy before? They're like, well, yeah, because everybody's got that story, right? Like, okay, well, did you, how did that go? Well, it didn't go good. Okay, I got it. Did you swear off, dating for the rest of your life, or you switch teams, or, what happened? What'd you do? Because some people will. It's all good, right? It's whatever works for you, whatever serves you. But they're probably going to start catching on. They're going to go, well, what do you mean? It's like, look, man, I know you had a bad experience, but that doesn't mean you swear off all that. That one was crazy. That team member was crazy. That company sucked. You need to talk to my guy because it's different, or not. Or don't talk to him, because if it hurts so bad and you decided I'm never dating again, I get it, man. That happens sometimes. You're done. I'm out. I am never doing that again. I get it. But chances are it was because of that specific instance. And what if this is different? They might say, I don't care how different it is. Cool, man. Rock and roll. Have a good day. Live in that miserable pile of the past for the rest of your life. That's what you want to do. That's you. It's your life. You run it how you want to. So, Eddie, that's what I would do, is I'd get them to get it out. Say, oh, you got a story? Share it with me. And when they get done, I'd say, hey, man, that sucks. I'd empathize with them. And then I'd say, do you think that's how it is for everybody, or you think this might be a little different? If you think there's a possibility of it being different, and I know it's different, and I'd really, really think it'd be a good idea if you talk to my guy. And they're going to it or they're not. And if they don't, cool, man. We can save that golden goose's egg for somebody that really wants it. Does that help, Mr. Blacknell?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you, Kathy. I do like this shirt. All right. Let's do one more question, if there is one. Anybody got one?
I don't have a question, but just an observation.
What you got?
Some of the people that I've been, working with kind of close, they're reaching out to people, and they have a preconceived idea or notion that they have to get every one of the people that they're talking to. You've got to take that out of the equation. What you just said about, contacting 10 a day. 10 a day over 100 days is how many people? 1,000. Right. Take the 3% of the equation that will actually do this. What is 3% of 1,000?
30.
And where does that put you on the scale of Kayani?
Well, there's a problem. You gotta go find a new white Kayani car, at least.
Exactly. So the big thing that I'm running into and telling my people that I'm working with is like, look, don't go into starting these conversations with a preconceived notion that I got to get this guy. Most of these people are too lazy to get off their ass to fix their issue. And you cannot fix it for them. You have to accept it for where it's at. Most people are comfortable and happy as a pig in shit being broke. They can't pay their bills. You can't fix that. You know, you're in that mode where, oh, I got to get this guy. No, you don't have to get shit.
Yep.
You have to send out the information and let them decide whether or not the information fits in their universe.
I completely agree. That's well said, Mr. Pinso. And I'm going to key off on that. It's about a conversation. It's not about what that outcome is going to be. The outcome of the conversation is not up to you guys. The conversation getting started is up to you. If you'll just get it started and make it about a conversation and not make it about the end result, about the payoff that I've got to get this person, as he was saying. It's not that at all. It's having a conversation. And if you'll tweak that and not be so, and I'm a very goal-directed person, I want you to set the goal of what this is about, and it's to have 10 conversations and let it do what it's going to do, because this is relationship. It's not transactional. It's not I'm having 10 so that I can ring the cash register 10 times. It's I'm having a conversation to see if there's something there. And that's not always going to come out in one sit-down conversation. But
it's a calling conversation.
Yeah.
What you're doing is having conversations to call through the people that are not interested. I mean, look how many people that I've sent you in the last couple of weeks. And yes, folks, I do send my people to Casey.
Yep.
I had one guy that came to me. Oh yeah, man, you know, I need to make some money. I'm ready to do this. The guy hasn't said squat since Casey approached him. Disappeared like a fart in a windstorm. Never said a word. I can't fix that. Casey can't fix that. They are in their own world.
We don't have any idea what they're doing.
Exactly.
We don't know what his mom could have died.
Exactly. But
he could have dropped the weight on his foot and he's in the hospital. Or he could be scared out of his mind and he doesn't want to fix it right. We don't know. We don't know.
Right. It's not our job to figure it out.
No.
It's our job to convey the information, and what they do with it after that is totally up to them.
And conveying that information, I want to make that distinction. It's having the conversation to convey the information of what is their thing, what is their problem. It's not to convey the fix to that. That's not your job.
Right.
It's to pull out of them what they desire. And if what they desire is something that we can potentially help them with, then we're going to get them to that point as a team, not just you.
Yep. And it's amazing the amount of people that will outthink you, you know, and that's the other thing is you guys are approaching these, you know, you hear this all the time. Nothing good ever happens to me. Nothing good ever comes by. I never get stuff like that. Yes, you do. You just keep telling it no every time you turn around. So there's nothing that you can do about that other than have the conversations, find out what is needed and wanted, make that connection. And if they're interested, pass them to Casey.
Yep.
If not, flush them out the back of the factory and go talk to 10 new people.
Yeah. What he just said was so key. And that's the part where I was saying the resources, they're already going to outthink you. They're going to get over here before we can even find out about this. They're already over here worrying about 3 steps ahead on this isn't going to work. That never happens. They've got that bit to them that they're just not even going to look because the pain of doing that in the past is too much. If that happens, it happens. Cool. Next, move on. Have another conversation. Stop getting so worried about the numbers that y'all are going through to make an empirical decision of does this work. You don't have enough data. You haven't run enough through. You just haven't. I'm telling you, you haven't. How do I know that? Because I know that if the batting average is 200 and you ain't batting 200, that means you haven't went up to the plate enough times. That's it. That's all there is. So wrapping it up for the night. Thank you, Mr. Uncle Larry. I appreciate the
Yes,
heck.
sir. Thank you.
And just so you know, Uncle Larry's got a book that's going to be live here. Y'all heard about it. It's going to be live here shortly, like in the next 48 hours. And I ain't going to tell y'all what that link is because I'm buying the first one. But after that, then we're going to post that out. So if you want to get a hold of that book, make sure you do so because he's put his blood, sweat, and tears into that. A lot of people in this group have had a little bit of part here and there and reviewing this and checking out that chapter and all that. But that man is the one that wrote this thing, and I'm looking forward to it. So keep your eyes out for that if you're interested. But anyway, I appreciate you sharing that because that was very, very, very key into what we're doing. And the last thing on this, and we'll call it a night, is the numbers that you're putting up, the numbers that you're going through, you're not doing enough of those to realize the results that'll happen. And doing it for 4 days isn't enough either. It's being consistent over time. It's not eating, I made this joke the other day, and I stole it from Jim Rohn. It's not 7 apples on Saturday keeps the doctor away. It's an apple a day keeps the doctor away. You can go do all streaky on this thing, and if that's all you think you can do for your resources, I can help you find some slots in your day on how to do this efficiently. But if you'll do this on a daily basis, however much time you can spend on that on a daily basis, and honestly, you can do this in about 15 to 30 minutes a day at a minimum, you can really move the needle on this. It's a matter if you can stick to it. That's exactly right. It's mundane. It's not sitting out the wave isn't glorious. It's not unbelievable. But the conversation you'll get into with these people are going to be unbelievable. They will change your life if you let it. So do the steps. Reach out, wave to them on Messenger. When they wave back, say hi. When they say hi back, say, how you been? How's the family? And get into a conversation. If you get into a conversation, you don't know what to do with it, please reach out to me. Take a screenshot of the conversation, send it to me and say, what would you say here? And I will literally craft the response for you that you can copy and paste and send it back. I cannot make it any easier. I really can't. But if you don't get in there and do it, I can, but you'll call the cops. I can break down your door. I can grab your phone. I can hijack it, and I can push those buttons for you, or you can do it. But that's the part that you got to do. And when you get stuck and you feel like, I don't know if this is for me, you go back to that why. You look at that why, and hopefully you found one that's going to make you cry. And when you start thinking about it, there's no stopping you, and you get back in there. If you're stuck, if your dump truck is stuck, I promise you I can unstick it. That is a guarantee. I can help you unstick it. I promise you. Just let me help. So reach out to me. All right, everybody. Thank you all very, very, very much. I appreciate you being on. Let me unmute the line so everybody can say good night. I appreciate you all joining. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good night. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, John Boy.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Say good night.
Good night.
Love it. Good seeing everybody.